Left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, outer beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land, outer beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9 clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around.
Yeah, follow.
Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that. After 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Hello. Hello. How are you all doing?
Good.
Good. Excellent.
Good.
Good. That's it. We forgot to do our warm-up, our enthusiastic warm-up. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. As you see, we got Johnny here tonight. I'm sorry we haven't got you, Carol. I know you're in the room. Johnny's clearly still finishing his tea there. Yes, thank you very much. Before we go on any further, I must thank SkyDemon for sponsoring the live stream. Thank you very much, SkyDemon. Without SkyDemon, it wouldn't be possible. And I'd just like to play you this week's tip. See if you knew this. I think I pretty much knew this one, but let's see who else didn't.
Hi, I'm Hannah from SkyDemon, and welcome to today's top tip.
By default, SkyDemon hides airspace higher than 4,000 feet to keep the map uncluttered. If you tend to fly at high levels, you may wish to raise this default level, which you can do in the mapping menu here in the bottom right corner. Go to Automatic Decluttering and raise the level at which airspace is hidden, and you'll see more starts to appear on the map. Or you can raise the level of your route.
For more information about using SkyDemon, take a look at our user guide, which you can access from our website.
There you go.
Very good.
Top tip. The other thing that's interesting, even though it defaults to 4,000 feet, should you not change it and go flying and climb up anyway, it'll go, this person didn't change it, and it'll show you the airspace as you go up anyway, so it won't sort of hide it. But it's not like one of those old French IGN charts that had airspace, I think, up to about 5,000 feet or something on the paper, and you never really had a clue what was above it. I think it was that.
Okay. Two viewer observations. One, Jeff Bridges says Ian has another flag. True.
Oh, good spot. Yeah.
Marcus Clark says Ian looks a bit blurred. Is he unwell, or does he need more bandwidth? He's fine, but he just needs a little more bandwidth.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't do anything about that. I was watching some people on television who were proclaiming stuff the other day, and they had a couple of flags, and I thought I should have a couple of flags too. What's out of shot is they also had like a briefcase, so I got myself a little red box. But this is a Spider-Man lunchbox, which I kind of need to put somewhere here. So I think that makes me look ministerial.
Do you think Rishi Sunak?
Yeah.
Sorry, do you think Rishi Sunak is going to bring the budget to the House of Commons in a Spider-Man lunchbox?
I think he should. If I was going to do a Rishi Sunak impression, I'd like. Go down.
Sorry, Ian, that's shortest. You're not allowed to do that.
It's quite short, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So that's the. No, I'm not even going to make that joke. I'm going to stop here on those jokes because that's getting too political, and we all know what happens then. People tune out and say goodbye and all the rest of that stuff. Take it all too seriously. So what have we got coming up tonight? Well, very shortly, we've got Simon giving us the weather for the weekend. Looking forward to that because I might even find a little slot to take a bit of flying myself, which is going to be good fun. We got tons and tons of news, including, you need to keep your fingers crossed here, Sam Rutherford, who's hoping to pop in to give us an update on Zara. If you've been following Zara, she's currently stuck in Nome due weather, so we'll get a bit of an update. But when I emailed Sam earlier today, he went, I'm just leaving Vega on my way to Iceland, Reykjavik. So he's flying he was literally on his way to Reykjavik, had a 4-hour flight just as he was replying to the email. Kind of hoping, if anyone's been to Reykjavik, you'll know, depending on which hotel is using, there's a hotel right next to the FBO. You can literally park your aircraft up and walk over the road to an overpriced hotel. But pretty much everything in Reykjavik's overpriced anyway, so I guess it makes no difference. But it is nice being able to look out at your aeroplane. Anyway, and then, of course, we got Mandy Hickson, ex-Tornado pilot, author with a great book, and which she'll hopefully tell you about. And, of course, I'm not sure if we're allowed to mention this or not, really. The jury's out. So maybe we'll Aviation Ambassador. I think I've put it in the posts anyway, so Aviation Ambassador. So grab your Ferrero Rocher and pull up a chair. So there you go. I think it's probably time to hand over to Simon, and this is going to be slightly complicated because I need to do a little bit of changing around here. So see if I can do it while I'm running a 6-second stinger. Here we go.
You could actually hear the cogs whirring then, You really could. Good evening, everybody. Great to be with you this evening. Hope that you're well. No doubt you're all feeling a little bit chilly. We've seen northwesterly winds come in during the course of today, bringing a change in air mass. And this is the sort of thing that I get excited about. You know, the weather anorak goes on when you get these beautiful satellite pictures in an airstream such as we've got at the moment. Classic example of a polar maritime air mass. If you're studying your air masses at the moment as a student, this is what it looks like. If you look back on your exams with horror, but can remember in there somewhere the polar maritime air mass, this is what it is. So blue skies and some showers. Shower clouds out in the North Sea here, and also some across western parts of Scotland, and some this afternoon just forming over Wales as well. But look at that, we have those clear blue skies across many parts of the country. Just love those. These are individual cumulonimbus clouds out here in the North Sea. Wow, I could go on about that all evening, but I won't, because we've got the forecast to look at. So this is the way things shape up tomorrow. Put tomorrow's chart on because it doesn't look too bad for flying, actually. We've got a weak occluded front that's just going to be bringing some cloud across probably parts of southwest Scotland, northern England, into eastern parts of England as well. I think typical bases here probably around about 3,000 feet. Elsewhere to the north and to the south of that, far less cloud around, bases around 4,000 feet. Generally fair, and visibility looks set to be quite good as well. So if you're planning on flying tomorrow, you've got quite a good day for it. For Saturday, a little bit of a complication on Saturday. We're changing air masses again. We're going into a tropical maritime air mass. And if you can remember back that far, tropical maritime basically brings cloud. It brings some drizzle onto exposed coast. So it's going to be sort of southern and western Ireland and also western Scotland that sees most of that low cloud and drizzle. For the rest of us, I think probably it's going to be a generally fair day. Southwesterly winds, always better the further south and east that you head. I think late on in the day, probably the Isles of Scilly, western parts of Wales, may pick up a little bit of low cloud bases there, probably getting down to between 500 and 1,000 feet. But generally elsewhere, I think we are going to be looking at bases of around 4,000 feet. So really not too bad a day at all. Again, for Saturday, a bit breezy in the north and the west though. And then for Sunday, got fronts coming into the west on Sunday that will move their way eastwards during the day. Central and eastern parts of England, quite breezy to start, but I think quite a decent start to the day. Typical bases around 3,000 to 4,000 feet. Out west, though, as this front comes in, I think we're going to be finding periods of rain, bases about 1,200 to 1,500 feet. Tops on that could be up at 15 to perhaps even 20,000 feet. Some embedded QNIMs along that front. And then that drags its way eastwards by the looks of things during Sunday afternoon. So certainly earlier is better out towards the east. If you're in northern and western Scotland or anywhere across Ireland, conditions looking better through Sunday afternoon than there will be in the morning. And we'll probably find an improvement across Wales and southwest England late on Sunday as well. So it's quite a mixed weekend, but I think out of all of it, probably tomorrow and Saturday present the better flying days for most of us. Just watch that low cloud out towards the west on Saturday. If all this talk of air masses has got your juices flowing, then you need to get yourself along to Aviation Weather School. If you've not been yet, this is your perfect opportunity to come along on the consecutive Saturday mornings of the 27th of November and the 4th of December. I say come along, it's presented live online by me over those 2 sessions. For more information, go to weatherschool.co.uk and I'll show you how to spot weather windows 5 days in advance and build your confidence in your own ability at forecasting and understanding the forecast that you see from official sources. More information online. Whatever you're doing, have a fantastic and a safe flying weekend, and I'll catch you next week. Bye for now.
There you go. Thank you very much, Simon.
Almost slick.
I need to make another one of those. It gives me another 2 seconds. I think is what I basically need to do. So let's have a look. Where do we go from here? It says on my little sheet. Oh, we've got time for some news. Let's hit the news. And unusually, I'm going first with the news tonight, and that's mainly because the first news item is really magazine related, and that is saying that we're having a little bit of a change around. And as of I guess next week or the end of next week, really, young Ed, who I can see in the top left, I don't know if he's top left everywhere out there, but Ed Hicks is moving from the position of editor to the position of editor at large, and the editor seat is being filled by Dave Cudderwood. So there you go, big change there. Sorry, Dave. Was that a bit of a surprise? Ed's not going away. You'll still see him on Thursday night live stream. Still be contributing to the magazine, but Dave will be doing the day-to-day editorial stuff with the editor's hat on. So there you go. That's that bit of news. Let's move on. And talking of Ed, I believe you've got the next news story.
Is that it's the company for sale story?
Yeah, and it's not our company that's for sale. Although, if you want to buy it for huge amounts of money, then we can talk. But other than that,
So this week we spotted online that advertised for sale. Mooney is apparently available for the small sum of £15 million. Dollars even, $50 million. As the advert says, legendary aircraft manufacturer for sale, over 10,000 aircraft built since 1929. And really, apart from the sticker price and a picture of what was one of their current aircraft, there's not a lot to know. But so we haven't, I don't think we've had it yet confirmed, have we, by someone at the company? But the fact that it's advertised online suggests that...
The people I've emailed at the company, their emails bounced back, which isn't terribly good. So who knows?
I think the part where it says cash flow not disclosed is probably. But I mean, why
the production certificate is worth $40 million though.
Wow.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, in the prospectus that accompanies the sale, which does kind of indicate it's for real. It does say that the production certificate, which Mooney as a manufacturer has and has had for years, they think that's worth $40 million.
Okay.
Well,
I've got a bid to sell.
There must be a good parts market to service for Mooney, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. But unfortunately, the 7,000 aircraft at least out there still flying.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they haven't been servicing it very well. So people have been looking elsewhere.
Yeah. So, I mean, $15 million gets you a legendary aircraft manufacturer, or for $14.99 million, you could also have a legendary aviation publisher.
All I can say is, if anyone's out there listening going, I really fancy buying Mooney, take a look in the historical back catalogue of aeroplanes and decide to put the Mooney Might back into production, the little single-seater, because Johnny and I
will buy one.
Yeah.
Really. So before we move on to the next story, just a little clue as to the next story. Get a short video to see, and then it'll be over to you, Dave.
Campari, with soda, with lemonade, with tonic, but always with pleasure.
Were you truly wafted here from paradise?
No, Luton Airport.
Dave.
Very good. That's a copyright strike straight away. So anyway, negotiating past London Luton Airport, as those of us who have lived in the area know that it can be tricky. So the VFR operating pack just released by the airport team could be quite useful. It includes a pre-flight checklist, frequent flyer reference cards, visual reference point details, including photographs of the important ones, arrival procedures, and information on radio transmission. So, in other words, what you should say in a radio call. And it's free, no money. It's available free from the Airspace and Safety Initiative website. That's hard to say, isn't it? Anyway, Airspace and Safety Initiative, and there is a link to that on the Flyer website if you can't understand it enough to Google it. But anyway, so it's on there along with a whole bunch of other guides to help you get past the tricky bits of the UK.
Which is most of it.
Which is most of it, yes. Before we go any further, I think I should point out that today is Trafalgar Day. This is the celebration of the Royal Navy beating the combined French and Spanish fleets at the Battle of Trafalgar on the 21st of October, 1805.
Did they depart from Luton Airport?
No, but they may have come. Some of them may have gone from Plymouth, which is in my neck of the woods these days.
That's a pretty random historical fact you got there.
It is. It's a new feature. Random historical fact.
I think we're going to send you to Coventry, Dave.
Am I doing the next one then?
Yes.
Oh right.
Yes.
Oh right.
Would you like me to play the video animation?
Yes, please do.
Here you go.
So this is the story that British Volt, which is the company that's building gigafactories around the UK, it's already built one up in Northumberland. They have now confirmed, they confirmed to me personally today, that they are part of the team trying to get planning permission to close Coventry Airport and build a gigafactory. They do admit, though, that they're still looking for financial backers. So this is far from a done deal. This is still a speculative project. And why on earth are they building on a perfectly good airport when there are other sites they could go to which are not in use as an airport? Yeah. So anyway, so unfortunately, that's not a great news story, but it's there in the ether now.
There you go. So if anyone wants to contribute to that £2.5 billion that's going to be necessary for that factory, then
that's the starting point. I mean, it takes £2.5 billion to build it. Then you've got to connect it, and then you've got to get customers, and that's a £10 billion project by the end of the day.
They only appear to have put one car charger in the car park.
Right,
Yes.
Johnny,
Yeah.
time for
New
you.
air- new
Have you
airplane
finished your
time.
tea?
Sorry?
Have you finished your tea?
Yeah, it's all done.
Okay.
Yeah, new airplane time. So this doesn't constitute financial advice, but we think this would be a sound investment. This is the replica Junkers A50 Junior, which we should see a picture of in a second. Look at that. So this will be arriving with the first customers in April next year. It's approved on the German 600 kilo microlight category, so it should be available throughout Europe and the UK as well. And it looks great. If you think the skin looks a bit familiar, that's because it probably reminds you rather of the Junkers F13 that was built a few years back, the replica version by Dieter Morsek. Dieter's family produce a suitcase with a very, very similar skin. And despite looking like the original, it's got a Rotax, an MT prop, Behringer brakes, and it's packed full of Garmin stuff in the cockpit. And the Galaxy Rescue System, and it's a really good looking piece of kit. Look at that. If you want one, you need to make sure you're one of the first 29 to order, because you'll get a bargain at just €179,000.
And I know that sounds like a big number, but for something like that is, when you see the photos of the thing being built, it's just beautifully made. And this is probably going to be one of those odd aeroplanes where that's going to appeal to a whole bunch of non-aviation kind of people and collectors and things like that. So,
if I didn't need a house, I'd buy one.
yeah. Well, you can't fly a house, but you can live in a Junkers A50.
Well, maybe. I think it's drop dead gorgeous, and I'm just going to have to look at it again. Drop dead gorgeous. Why is the tail wheel plugged in?
I think
yes.
That's a good point. I don't think it's an electric aeroplane. I think it was the source of power for when it was on display.
Okay.
But magnificent thing. And they've obviously the F-13, the big multi-seat Junkers recreation that they also make. I think they're building airplane number 3 of those at the moment, and they were selling those at something like $2.5 million a pop. So
they do like their open cockpits, though, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Which for a country like Germany is a little bit,
yeah, chilly, but beautiful. What a fabulous little toy if you can afford it and have it in your hangar.
I want one. I can't afford it, but I want one. If someone pays 14.9 million. If someone pays 14.9 million for the company, I'll buy 4 of them.
14.9 million pesos.
Well, preferably pounds, but I'll take euros or dollars.
Right.
Okay. Right. Cool. Okay.
Right.
Dave.
Next story is
again.
the completely opposite end of the sphere. There's a new space age aircraft about to be launched, and yes, it is called the Jetson. It's called the Jetson 1, to be honest. Yes, and it's named after the iconic 1960s and 80s TV cartoon. It's electric. It's a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, and it was officially launched today, Thursday, the 21st of October, Trafalgar Day, with a price tag of $92,000. Despite the Hollywood name, Jetson, it's actually a Swedish company. Apparently, according to one of the founders, Peter Turnstrom, I think I've said that right, can be flown by anybody. Our mission is to make flight available to everyone, said Peter. We intend to make everyone a pilot. Amazingly, since the launch was today, apparently they've sold out of every single aircraft available to be produced next year, and the first production slot available is 2023.
Wow.
Certification is in line with you're aiming at America. The certification is in line with the FAA's Part 103, which is their unlicensed, do what you like kind of thing. The equivalent in Europe is probably the SSDR. The flight time available with the electric back power is 15 minutes. Top speed is restricted to 63 miles an hour. So basically, it's a quick thrill. And our surmise is that it won't be bought by people for their own use. It'll be bought by people bought by companies offering experiences, because
it'll be coming soon to the people who offer you Segway riding experiences.
That's it. Yes. Yep.
What about if you combine that with paintball?
Oh, now you've got a sport. Yes. Paintball guns on the wings.
There's nothing in the rules to stop that either.
No.
Yeah.
Take his rotors out.
Yes.
Gosh, there probably is something in the rules to stop that, though.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, that would be a laugh, wouldn't it?
It would be great.
Yeah. So, which of us is going to be the first to have a go of that? What's that? The black fly? Is it black spider?
Black fly. I read that. Yeah, the black fly, which is another one of these kind of eVTOL type single seat machines. They're beginning to allow people to fly those. I'd really like to try one. So,
what's the price of the black fly?
Sorry,
not released yet.
What's the price of the black fly?
Well, they were saying it's the price of a premium car, a premium SUV, but already there's talk of the first ones being a lot more than that. So it's the classic. We think it's going to cost this, and then it doesn't. So
right.
Yeah. Okay, well, the next news item is me, and the next news item is an update on Zara, who, as you know, if you've been following it, has been in Nome, Alaska for quite a while, waiting for the weather to move to clear so she could get to Russia. And we were hoping that was going to be, I think, 2 weeks ago now, and she was finding out. So I dropped Sam Rutherford, her dad, a line this morning to see if he'd come on and have a chat about it, see how she was doing, give us an update and stuff like that. And he said, "Yeah, absolutely no problem. Just heading from Vega to Reykjavik on a ferry flight. I should be there in time." And clearly he isn't. But I just checked my emails, and he's dropped me an email saying, "Really sorry, can't be on. It looks like Zara might be flying any minute now, so I'm kind of full on managing that." So I'm guessing they're doing some micro checking of the weather. I've just checked, which is why I was being rude and not paying attention and looking down here earlier. And Zara's still in Nome. The tracker's still in Nome, but it does look like they think there might be a window and she may be flying. So fingers crossed, and we'll talk to Sam or Zara another day. So hopefully, I think two weeks in Nome is probably. I've never been to Nome actually, but I can imagine it's probably
a week and a half too much.
A week, yeah, something like that. Yeah. We should have a map of places people we've offended accidentally in the world.
Do you think if she can't depart, she's going to have to make a Nome in Alaska?
It could be her new Nome.
Her new Nome.
Yes.
No place like Nome.
Rome.
And then put all dad jokes in the comments, please. Thank you very much, Ed.
That's it.
You've got a story all about ambassadors.
I do, all about ambassadors. So there's a new batch of aviation. So it might have not been officially announced, but they've kind of all put the news out there now. So we're just going with this story anyway now. There's a new batch of aviation ambassadors that's been announced by the DFT. They are Travis Ludlow, Catherine Maloney, Amy Whitewick, and Mandy Hickson. You'll know Travis from Around the World fame. Catherine works at Transair and is a very active pilot in the world of Instagram, flying both helicopters and fixed wing. Amy has famously been described by the British Women's Pilots Association as the flight path Picasso. She's famous for a number of drawings that she's made in the sky using SkyDemon flights. Mandy was only the second woman to fly a Tornado on the front line, completing 3 tours of duty and 45 missions over Iraq. Since leaving the RAF, she continues to support her support for the services in the volunteer reserve and flying in the Air Experience flight. And you'll hear a bit more from Mandy when she speaks to Johnny shortly.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So, Johnny, not talking to Mandy yet. Another story first. We're nearly there, Mandy. I can see Mandy in the green room.
Yes, she's on the blue M&Ms.
Two M&Ms. Part of a rider.
This is all about the Icon A5. If you don't know what it is, we'll flash a picture up now. It's
just looking for it.
All right, it is looking for it. Anyway, there it is. You can now rent it for the first time. So Jack Brown's Seaplane base in Florida, which is the home of a fleet of Cubs that have trained hundreds of UK pilots and seaplane ratings. The A5 is now available at $300 an hour with an instructor, which actually is a really good value for money experience. 217 quid, I think we worked it out as. The full rating costs just under $2,500, which includes all the ground school and then 5 hours dual instruction. And then once you get all of that ticked off, you can actually go and rent it from them, which is
wow. Okay, I think that's a good move by Icon and Jack Brown's to add that, because you couldn't up until now. You could only fly it if you kind of bought one, or you were in the Icon training program. So, and there's a lot of curiosity about that aeroplane. So.
So I'm going to guess that there's been a whole load of people who are watching who've been to Jack Brown's. But if anyone hasn't been to Jack Brown's, if you find yourself in Central Florida, get yourself there. It's at Winter Haven Airport. Great little airport with a lake, funnily enough, by the side of it. If you want a little bit of a history thing, Fate is the Hunter was written from the deck of, largely written from the deck of Jack Brown's by Ernest Gann. If you haven't read that, go read it now. Absolutely fantastic, iconic place. Normally, you just spend your time. I think I did a course there, and I don't think I've ever been above 500 feet in one of their Cubs. I just don't think they bother to do that. So it's just
a lovely spot.
It's a lovely, lovely spot. Great place to fly, and great place to fly an Icon now. So I think that'll be a kind of interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
I think there is what's that? Is it Albert Whitted Airport that's out near Tampa? I think that's where they got a little Icon training base there as well. I'm not sure what they're up to there. So anyway, there you go. And I think for the last news item, just a quick one. On November the 6th, Pilot Careers Live. If you're thinking of a career on the flight deck, or you know anybody who is, tell them to come along to Pilot Careers Live. It's at Sofitel Hotel London T5. You can't buy tickets on the door. You need to get tickets in advance. So www.pilotcareerslive.com for those. That's all about COVID spacing, because we're having to limit the number of tickets. It's normally rammed, but these days rammed halls are not such a good thing. So there you go. So spread the word. Have we got any airspace notifications we need to think about, Dave?
Well, there's a big one coming up in Scotland, of course, where COP26 is going to be held. It's being held in Glasgow, but there's a whole bunch of airspace that extends from Turnberry in the southwest all the way up to Fife in the northeast, and covers all the airports in between. So basically, you can't really go to Scotland by air and get through that bit unless you've managed to negotiate a clearance, which you probably have to do in advance.
Yeah.
Mandy could probably go there actually, because the Air Force has been charged with intercepting anybody who inadvertently strays into the airspace.
That would be an Air Experience flight and a half, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah. Probably worth it actually. No, probably not. Probably not.
So be careful if you want to go to Scotland. Need to avoid the COP out 26 airspace and go sort of east or west.
Right.
But there you go. Anyway, enough of that. It's time to get Mandy on. I think I haven't forgotten anything. Yes. Let's just need to do a little bit of manual tweaking here. So, hello, Mandy.
Hello, guys. Pleasure to see you all.
Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. I have wafted in from paradise.
There you go.
Yeah, or wafted in from Winchester. Which one you can choose?
Is there a difference?
No, very similar. Very similar.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Over to you, Johnny.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us, Mandy. Now, Ed's kind of given a really brief intro of who you are. You were the second female to fly the GR4 on the front line. You flew nearly 50-odd missions over Iraq. The first question we tend to ask everyone is, how did you get into this? How did you get into aviation?
Yeah, a classic way, really, through the Air Cadets. So started off really young. I joined on the first day that the Air Cadets opened its doors to girls, and flew. And then from there, I went off. I got a flying scholarship, went to university, joined the University Air Squadron. So an absolute classic traditional route. And in those days, women weren't allowed to be pilots, and certainly not fast jet pilots on the front line. And then in my second year at uni, they changed the rules, which was just very fortuitous timing.
Yeah. So what did you originally go to university to? Well, what were you thinking of joining the Air Force to do originally?
Well, basically, when I went to university, I was keeping an open mind. I wanted to be a pilot, but obviously I was sort of waiting to see what would happen. Joined the University Air Squadron, did loads of flying with them. And I was really keen to join the Air Force, but at the same time, it was the University Air Squadron that really changed my mind on that one. It really sort of swung me from, marginally wanting to join to desperately wanting to join. So I was sort of biding my time, really. I did have in my back of my mind, actually, at one point, I did want to become a policewoman. So that was always there as a backup option if the Air Force didn't change their minds and let women get to the front line.
Brilliant. And as you went from Air Cadets to University Air Squadron into the RAF, did you see the number of women gradually decrease the higher and higher you got up?
Oh, enormously. So when I sort of joined on my UAS, there was actually quite a few girls. The girls that then got in were much fewer. But when you actually look through the ranks, we didn't have any female role models particularly that we could aspire to be like, and certainly not who were pilots. There was Jo Salter, who was the very first female fast jet pilot. She was about 3 years before our batch came in. And then as we went through, we were probably one girl on each course. So I was with there was a girl called Mitch Tompkins, who was just in front of me. She was the first Harrier pilot. There was myself that went through. We had Soraya Marshall, who's now stayed in the Air Force. She's the highest ranking female air crew in the Air Force, about to become Air Vice Marshal. And we're all really proud of her. But we were all on officer training together. So we're only really seeing those women really getting to the higher stages of the Air Force now. Certainly in my time, we didn't really have many people that were hitting the higher levels.
Yeah. So going back to the airplanes themselves, what was the first aircraft you flew?
Sorry, say that again, Johnny. I was just having a cough. Sorry.
No worries. What was the first aircraft that you flew?
I started on the Bulldog the very first airplane I ever flew was the PA-28, the Chipmunk initially on the Air Experience flight. Then I flew the PA-28. Yes, that's my first ever day with my PPL, and it's almost like in my hand. And that in the background is my mum and my stepdad, and we took off from Blackpool Airport, and I'd never flown with passengers on board. And let's just say I didn't really backtrack enough. And we got the Storr Warner on takeoff, and we graced the top of Butlins, which is in the overshoot at Blackpool. And my mum was going, "Is that a normal noise?" I was going, "It's fine, it's fine." Oh yes, inexperience. Let's just say I learned from that. So I flew the PA-28, got my PPL on that one, then went off to uni, flew the Bulldog. Got about 160 hours on the Bulldog. I love the Bully. It's a great aircraft, really robust in what it does, which is fantastic. It's always going to have a real fond place in my heart. And then went off to join the Air Force, and I learned on the Firefly once I got in.
Fantastic. And what was the pace of change like from going from Bulldogs, Fireflies, and then was it Jet Provost or?
No, I was
it must have been Hawk. I've probably offended you there.
No, not at all. So I did Tucano in between. I have to say I felt like a really lovely stepping stone. I loved each of the stages actually, because I loved when we went from Firefly to the Tucano, and suddenly you've got things like retractable undercarriage, the smell of avgas, it's a turboprop engine, and it just smelled different. And the whole feeling, I remember turning up and people going, "Oh my God, this is the next stage." And it felt really exciting. You got to sort of go 3 greens, as you take calling your finals because your gear's gone down. That felt so cool. And then the big step was going, I think, from Tucanos to Hawks. And that was the massive step because, you know, suddenly you're in a jet, you're going at double the speed. Oh yes, there's me. That was on my graduation day, my wings parade. We did a 9-ship past all our parents. And all I've got is this fantastic video of my dad going, "Which one is she? Which one is she? Oh, look, there she is. She's number 2. And Craig, my husband now, who was there watching, was going, "Yeah, she's in really good position. She's in a really good position." It's all on the video. It's great. It's a good job I wasn't out.
So, where did you kind of go from there? Did you want to fly the Tornado, or did you have visions of other...
Well, let's be honest. So most people aspire to do single seat. I did want to go single seat. I wasn't good enough. And there were very few Harrier slots for us at the time. The Jag was sort of coming towards its end of its service, although you could still get posted to fly the Jag. I really wanted to do ground attack. So for myself, it was probably going to be realistically the Tornado. And I actually really wanted to be, I'd deployed when I was holding actually out to Operation Deny Flight, which was out with the guys flying the F3s, it was flying over Bosnia. And we were deployed out to southern Italy. And I really liked the whole ambience of that feeling of being in a twin-seat aircraft. I like the crew. I like the banter. I like the fact that you weren't alone in the air, and that if you had to divert, you've got a mate with you. And I just like that whole ethos of it. And so I did really fancy doing that. I mean, obviously, if I was good enough, of course, I would have probably loved to fly Harrier or the Jag. But yeah, so I was sent to fly the Tornado, which was definitely my choice. I was without a doubt more suited to mud moving and that ground attack world rather than air-to-air combat. I know everyone thinks air-to-air combat is fantastic, but for me, it just didn't float my boat.
Yeah. Does the nav ever grade your landings?
If they did, they'll get hit when you're like, no, I'm joking. No, do you know what? I love working with a nav. I generally got on really well with all the navs that I've ever flown with, and you know, I've said these things as well. By the end, you know, the nav was rebranded and renamed as being a Wizzo, a weapon. Oh, there's me with Michel Dupont. I was thrilled to be with Michel. It's a very good-looking French man. Basically, they were obviously renamed as Wizzos, Weapon Systems Operators. And I just feel that was so much more relevant to the role that they were doing, because obviously when we went from GL1 to GL4, all of the nav systems were so much better. You know, we actually had GPS, you've got forward-looking infrared, you've got all of these different systems on board. And so actually, I always say the pilot tends to be the taxi driver to get the backseater to the place where they need to be to do what you've got to do, whether it being dropping weapons or reconnaissance or whatever the role is at the time.
Yeah. In terms of flying skills, you know, was there much going back to your PPL days that translated to flying a Tornado at low level?
Yeah, absolutely, loads. And I think, you know, when you look at all the different programs that there are for flying, you know, multi-engines things, and obviously so much is going into simulator world now, but I don't think you can ever beat those raw skills that you learn, especially when it comes to an emergency of some sort. You know, Sully, when he sort of went back to his gliding days of landing, you know, the aircraft onto the Hudson. You know, those raw skills that you have then will never, ever be wasted when you get to the front line or when you get to be a commercial pilot or, in fact, doing whatever you're doing, because those stick and rudder skills are the basis of it all, really.
Yeah. And did you continue GA flying whilst you were going through the Air Force?
No, I didn't actually. So I let that slip. I mean, to be honest, you're all consumed with what you're doing in the Air Force. I mean, it was really full on. We were on a lot of detachments. We were overseas quite a lot. We were either doing exercises or overseas training. And so it was a really busy period. You're never just sort of sitting around. So I didn't really have much time on my hands at that stage.
And we've got one picture. Just wouldn't mind if you could explain what's going on here.
Oh, that was when they were really sweet. That was when my children were lovely and they thought I was their world. So that one sitting on my knee is Jamie. He is now 6'5" and would not fit into that aeroplane. He's nearly 17. And Jack, who's on my husband's knee. So this is, I was flying as an air experience pilot on 2 AAF down at Boscombe Down. And they had an open day and we were allowed to go and bring our families in. And so I was like, boys, you know, would you like to be a pilot like mummy? And they were like, nah. I was like, you will sit in the airplane. You will be interested. And now they have no interest whatsoever. So I even said to them, you know, I wrote a book and I was like, boys, do you want to read it? They're like, no. Why was it? I said, well, maybe one day.
Oh, so have you got back into the AEF thing since leaving the Air Force?
Well, I'd say as soon as I left, so I was flying on the AEF in my latter tour. So my last tour was at Boscombe Down, and I picked up flying with Southampton University Air Squadron and 2A AEF, and I loved it. It was really good. And I was doing it really regularly. And then when I left, I did it for 8 years until 2 years ago. And then at Christmas, I do a lot of speaking as my career now. And I was traveling all over the world, and I was getting to the weekends. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, I must do my AEF flying. And it got to that point where I was feeling like it was a job to go to work. And I thought that should not be what I'm feeling like. And also, I was so busy because I was away the whole time that I actually thought, I don't want to have an incident. I need to be focused. And one thing I would always say is, it doesn't matter what flying you're doing. You are susceptible to have any incident or accident in whatever job you're doing or whatever aircraft you're flying. You need to take it seriously. And although I was taking it very seriously, of course, you're flying with young cadets and you want to give them the best experience possible. I could feel that my mind wasn't as on the job as I wanted it to be, and I wanted to leave that incident free. And so I finished that 2 years ago, but I did say to the boss, who's a lovely guy, Chris, and I said, Chris, can you leave my picture on the board? Because I don't want young girls turning up and not seeing any women flying as pilots. And he said, absolutely. And I said, and can you leave it open so that literally when I get a bit of breathing space and my kids are a little bit older and I don't need to sort of go to all the Saturday morning football and stuff like that I can come back? And he was like, no, absolutely. So I will definitely go back to it at some point. It was the right time to take a bit of a break.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, tell us a bit about your book, because it's got a great title.
Yeah, An Officer, Not a Gentleman. Thank you very much. Yeah. So basically, it was a very long project that was ongoing for about 3.5 years. And I worked with a really great friend of mine, Rob, and the two of us wrote it together. Basically, because I do a lot of speaking, a lot of people say to me, have you written a book? And the answer was always no. And then I started going, not yet. And as soon as you say this is the best bit of motivational speaking I'll ever give to anyone, is if you say the words not yet, it starts to open up a world of possibility. You start to think, maybe I will. And as soon as I said that, I thought, right, you've got to get it done. And so it was great going back and visiting all of these times again. And I've always been one of these really sad people that takes loads of photos. And I'd normally be the person that would leave my camera, these are the days of cameras, on the bar, and I'd always get a double set printed for everybody, and there were often a lot of very rude pictures, but I'd often have just a couple of really good ones, but I would have a double set of very rude photos when people had got a bit drunk later on. And so those were not pleasant, but so at least I had all these photos and these annuals and albums which went back all over the years, and I could look in them, and it really gave me all of those memories, in Technicolor. And so actually they triggered everything that had happened, and it was really cathartic getting it down on paper. And I tried to get a publishing deal and didn't manage to get one. And I love a rejection letter I got, Johnny. It said, plain books are for a male readership who have no interest in a woman's story. And I was like, which just infuriated me so much. Thanks, Amanda. Lovely comment there. And that spurred me on, and I thought, right, sod you, quite frankly. I am going to get it out there. And I self-published on Amazon, and I've sold just under 10,000 copies, which has been phenomenal. It's worldwide. Not quite the second book yet, but I don't know if I've got anything interesting to say for a second, but it's not terrible. But it's been really exciting. Honestly, I've loved it. And what I've loved as well is that it's opened up a dialogue with loads of different people. So people like yourselves, but it started to give you, a bit of an insight into different worlds as well, which has been great. And it's been fab in lockdown, like yourselves doing this podcast, getting out there. And it's fun.
Brilliant. Nick Orchard says, which publisher? You don't have to say if you don't want to, but
it's a really big publisher. And I went back to them afterwards. It's I'm not going to say actually, because it might slate me for further use, but I've actually got the email with it in black and white as well, which is even better. I've got the evidence. Always good. Yeah. And I went back to them and I said, look, I know you rejected me the first time and you wrote that awful email, but I just want to say I'm going to send you a copy of my book and see what you think. So I really wanted to get it out into hard copy, and I've not managed to get a publisher to do a hard copy of it. And because you can't get hardback on Amazon, it has to be just paperback only. And I also wanted to get a publisher to put me worldwide, so get it out into the States and things. And the lady that I spoke to said, "Oh my gosh, you've done such a brilliant job. Actually, we can't take you on now because you have sold so many, in fact, way more than we would ever probably have sold for you, because you've done such a good job on your own PR." I was like, "Okay, that's it." Yeah, what can I say?
You must have one of those rude photos that you could have sent them.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? Yeah. This is in the post. This is a special one for you.
Here's my message.
Oh my God! I'd been sued. Yeah.
So what's kind of next in your? Have you got flying aspirations for the future?
Yeah, you know what? I do need to think about what I want to do with regards to flying, because I've had the opportunity. I'll tell you what's been fantastic actually. So since the book's gone out, loads of people have got in touch with me from loads of different walks of life and said, "Do you want to come flying in a glider? Do you want to come flying in this?" And oh my God, it's been great. I've been up in a Husky, a fantastic, beautiful Husky, which was fantastic. They even flew over from Gloucester to Popham and picked me up, and we went flying, and we went into a Lyndon. There it is.
I was going to say, was it Lyndon?
You got a shout out. So wonderful trip with a lovely girl, Daisy Bing, who was in the other one. She can have a shout out too. I went gliding with one of last year's ambassadors for aviation, Liz Sparrow, who's head of women's gliding, and she took me up, which was just brilliant. And with a guy called Scrabble, who does another podcast, Flight Path Podcast it's called. And basically my husband went up with him because they knew each other from Navy days, and I went up with Liz, and we almost had a competition to see who could stay airborne the longest. I was like determined not to let the guys beat us. But we're going to go up when there's a few more thermals around. So it's been really nice having opportunities to do different things, but I just need to have a think where I want to go actually with my own sort of flying. I'm saying to my husband, actually, it was lovely seeing some of those aircraft. I was like, maybe I could we afford one? Maybe we could put it through the business, we just, keep the business ticking over with aviation.
There's always a way. There's always a
way. Definitely.
Yeah, and embrace the LAA and the permit scheme. It's a lot. Well, it's.
Yeah. You could build one. Are you
Oh
good
my
at DIY?
God. Now, that is not a skill I have, to be honest, Ed. And the thought of my husband, who is not DIY, it's get a man in, or woman in, should I say. But that sounds a bit dodgy when I say that. Actually, yeah, our skills in the engineering front are not up there. I would definitely need to seek some help on that one, I think.
Oh, brilliant. So where can people find your book?
It's on Amazon. So yeah, basically you've just Google An Officer Not a Gentleman. But I always say, if people want a signed copy, I'm on lots of different social media platforms. Just get in touch, and I've sent out loads of signed copies as well. It's a much better quality print as well than the Amazon one because it's got colour photos in there. So if people want a dedication or one for a Christmas present or something like that coming up, get in touch with me and I can send one out direct. And I've been doing loads of that actually, and it's been really nice to write real personalised messages to people.
Brilliant.
So yeah, just get in touch on social media.
So just a couple of very quick stories on that you reminded me of when you were talking about when you said to your sons, "Do you want to read the book?" I was and they went, "No." I was at a show in the States once, and everyone was queuing up to get a free book, and I didn't even know who it was at first. So I got in the queue, and it was Eugene Cernan, the last guy to walk on the moon, and he signed a copy of his book and he dedicated it to my daughters. And I got back, and they were sort of young teenagers at the time. So, do you want a book dedicated to you from the last guy to ever walk on the moon? They went, "No, not really."
Don't. Oh, it's so sad actually when your kids do not share your passion. And I've sort of said to mine a few times, is this something, they're sort of 17, 18, is it something that you think might be interesting, aviation? They were like, no. What? Why? And I think the problem is that they've so grown up with me going to pick them up in my flying suit. I even landed a helicopter in the playground, which was a deliberate thing. I wasn't lost. I absolutely promise. It was an organised visit and everything. There was a man with a day-glow vest on, and I landed it in this playground. I got all the kids sitting in it and all the rest of it. I got letters from them all going, "Dear Mrs. Hickson, I loved your helicopter landing in our garden," sort of thing. It was fantastic. And I said to my two sons, was that cool? And they went, not really. And I won the coolest mum of the year in the playground. I was like, well happy with that. That's the best award to get.
It's probably saved you a couple of $100,000 though.
Yeah, probably. It's a very good point, actually. Yeah. So they can carry on doing what they're doing, Amazon shipping or something like that at the moment. Much more interesting.
Yeah, they can go and work alongside your previous weapon system operators in McDonald's or something.
Oh, I don't think so. Those guys are doing blooming well for themselves.
So I have a quick question for you. It's kind of aviation related, but it's obviously most of the people here understand that, the whole flying thing and the joy of flying and stuff like that. But military flying, which from the outside can look really good fun, and you get to fly around low level in noisy, pointy jets and stuff like that. It's great. But there comes a time, if you're flying kind of operational sorties over Iraq or somewhere like that, that must be very different. The thought of flying where people don't want you to be flying and people want to do you harm.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you make that step change between? How does that happen? I guess it's a general thing, or
it is. I think it's a really interesting one because I think, say when you're flying, you're in the Air Force, you've signed up because you love flying, and then you progress on each course because you love flying and you want to be the best. And each time you want to do the next course, and I wanted to be, I wanted to fly fast jets. And then there's that moment where you go, yeah, I want to fly fast jets, and that will entail going to war. And it's such this sort of like insidious creep that when you actually get to do it, it's going to sound ridiculous. You're not fearful of it. It's almost like I have been training to play in a football match the whole of my life, and I'm now getting the opportunity to actually be on the Premier League and be on that stage. And you're ready for it by then. I think I wouldn't say quite lucky. The area of conflict that I was in, so I was in Iraq, and we were in a high-level war. And I know this sounds a bit crazy, but the guys that had done, say, Gulf War I and the guys that then served in Afghanistan were involved in low level. And I think when you're in low level and you can see the whites of people's eyes as you're flying over the tops of them, that's a really different one to being up at 20,000 feet where the threat is all around and you're really aware of it, but you're still in very much your office. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but the office is the same as the office that is there at home. But I'm now in my office and I'm operating, but I'm at height. And there's that feeling of slight invincibility. Well, there was until someone literally engages with the surface-to-air missile, which didn't feel quite so invincible suddenly. But we managed to evade the missile. But it was a very interesting one. And the very first time we were shot at, it was by AAA, so anti-aircraft artillery. And as we were flying, I suddenly saw these little black clouds appearing all around us. And I was like, gosh, look at these. And the guy went, oh, my God, Mandy, bugger, these are guns. And we were like, oh, my God, it's like, how dare they? We are in a war zone and they are shooting at us. So we were like, oh, God, we obviously got out of there pretty quick. But then what was really sad, actually, and it resonated with me on so many different levels. When we got back, the Americans had Predator, the UAV, airborne on top of us, and they'd been filming the whole thing. And we saw the guy that literally was shooting at us. And he was this young teenager who basically ran towards this huge gun, an SA-60 or something like that. And he takes fire and he barely takes aim. He literally goes, ramps it up, starts firing at us. And then he is so scared that we're going to retaliate and do what's called, a response option attack on his side. He literally drives it and then leaps out and just runs into the bushes. And I don't know, I just felt this sadness of the futility of conflict at that point. The sadness of, they were being told that we were the ravens of evil, that we're here, to rain destruction upon them. And I don't know, you're obviously going to always do your job. And I'm not saying that, but there was a subtle sadness that was there at that time as well.
Thank you.
And there's a very long answer. I should become a politician.
Great. No, because you actually said something. The skill of a politician is to have it as long but completely meaningless.
Whereas I did actually answer your question.
Yeah. So
bloody well.
Brilliant. Right. Well, Mandy, thank you very much for joining us. It's been fantastic talking to you. We've put the link to your Amazon page in the comments so people can click it and go and buy the book. And if you do want a signed copy, then get in touch with Mandy.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much.
And as you're kind of in this part of the world, because we're kind of like West Country people here.
West Country.
West Country people.
You even said it like that. You went, we're West Country.
I know. Hickson for PM. There you go. Paul
Yes.
Plenty of people who'd vote for you. I think you might have to go into politics at this point.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, guys. Let's get a campaign going. Well, with my ambassador for aviation, that is the start of it. Not just will I be eating Ferrero Rochers, but that's it. A political campaign.
So what do you actually have to do for a year to be when you're an ambassador?
I actually have no idea. I can't be a politician now because I've actually just obviously just said the truth. No, I will be. The really nice thing actually is that you get to be a role model. You get to go and speak to lots of people, young people at schools and things like that. You get to go and actually do a lot of the open events, and basically, I think you're there as a subject matter expert. And what I'm really looking forward to is some of the forums. And because, and I'm not saying this, but because of the book, actually, I've managed to have quite a big network now of loads of people linking into me from charities, from Flight to Help to John Egging Trust, all of these different charities, which basically are all, looking at aviation as a way to inspire people. And I think that this could be a fantastic link to really bring together all of those different forums and actually really look at doing something, together in a big scale. So, hopefully I'll be able to use some of my connections. So, guys, if there's anybody out there that has any great ideas of ways that we can inspire people, please get in touch with me on social media because, as we go into this, I would really like to make a difference in what we're doing.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. A huge number of really positive comments there.
Yeah.
I pay people. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. So as we're all in the West Country, maybe we'll meet up at an airfield at some stage when the weather's a bit nicer and warmer. Because I know the military people fly they're all tough and get muddy and stuff like that, but we don't. We're like nice and warm, fair weather for us.
To be honest, I'm liking that nowadays. I like a nice solid runway, that sort of thing. Fantastic.
Well, I live quite near Salisbury Plain, and when the weather's horrible, I think, the amount of people who must be out there in the mud not much fun.
Yeah, I'm not keen on that. That's why I joined the Air Force, not the Army.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's great.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us, Mandy. And
yeah.
It's my absolute pleasure, guys. Great to chat to you all. And who knows? Hopefully meet up at some air show soon.
Look forward to it.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Wow, tremendous guest.
Yeah, that was fantastic, wasn't it?
Mm. Yeah. And
I've got that funny echo again.
Yeah. I know that it's all very well saying, I pay people to make the comments, but we know there's lots of regulars there, all really enjoying the interview. So yeah.
You haven't told us they're getting paid. So regulars, how much is it? Right, it must be time for.
Must be time. So this week, after hearing the news that Mooney is looking for a new owner, it made us think of other light aircraft manufacturers that are no longer around, but we wish they were. So who did you guys pick?
Dave's up first. Are you ready for this, Dave?
Yes. Well, I chose an iconic British manufacturer, Miles Aircraft. It started by a chap called Frederick George Miles, better known as FG Miles, who lived from 1903 to 76. He designed a huge number of light civil and military aircraft and a range of prototypes. If you read about his career, you have to say gifted aeroplane designer, but probably a crap at business because he's.
That's quite often a story, isn't it? In
British aviation industry all over, really. Anyway, amongst his many aircraft is the one that I've picked as is the one I like the most, which is the Miles M11 Whitney Strait.
That is a beautiful aeroplane.
It's a beautiful aeroplane. And this is one of your pictures, Ed, as well, I think, when it eventually
Someone, Dan Smith's already in there. He said, surprised that's not Ed's choice with the trousered. I do like a trousered undercarriage.
Yes. Well, the
Fair
Whitney
enough.
Strait is it's from the 1930s. It's sort of said to be the very first general aviation aircraft with a side-by-side seating arrangement and an enclosed cockpit. I don't know if that's actually true, but that's what's in the history book. But it's the Whitney Strait is it's named after a famous racing driver, actually a bit of a playboy, American playboy, who did everything. His name was Whitney Strait, which is a pretty good name, isn't it? I thought he might have been named after a racing circuit. But anyway, it's a beautifully designed aeroplane. It looks great. It's got a 130 horsepower Gypsy Major engine, which apparently is good for 130 mile an hour cruise and a range of 500 nautical miles, which is enough, really. And the one, have we shown the picture of it, Ian?
Yeah, we have shown it.
Right at the beginning. Yeah.
We can show it again. There you go.
A photograph by who took this picture, Ed?
That was it's a flyer flight test, so that's one of mine. It is a pretty machine, that. So
Yes, and that's owned by a chap called Peter Bishop, who is CEO of a company of aeronautical engineers that bears his own name, and it's registered to Woodley, which is where the Miles factory was. And if you looked at the news this week, you had seen that the factory at Woodley, the old Miles factory, is in the news at the moment because a developer wants to build on it.
Not another gigafactory.
They want to knock the buildings down, don't they? So
yeah. In fact, there's a comment by John Milner just come in. If somebody like to put it up, there's still the Miles Museum, and
there's a Manchester at Gloucester.
I've actually flown the Magister at the one that's at Shuttleworth, or used to be at Shuttleworth. It's a very nice aeroplane.
Yeah, okay. Very good.
Okay.
Good choice. Excellent.
I'm next. I'm going to go relatively quickly because somehow it's got to 8:30.
I
Must
know.
be that fantastic interview that did it. So moving on. Basically, I quite fancy 2 aircraft in my hangar, and so in order to get them, I need Percival to come back. Basically, I would quite like a little Vega Golf for those afternoon bimbles when you want to go to the 2K. Another trousered undercarriage there, which is very nice.
Very
and then
nice.
for those days when you're being selfish, I'll have a Mew Goal, please.
For those afternoons where you wish to terrify yourself.
I think it would be that would kind of get your focus, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Where would you be focusing?
Yeah.
Get your focus.
Focus on much beyond the instrument panel, but
About 12 inches ahead. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I reckon. I mean, is that not a stunning looking aircraft?
Oh yeah,
it is. I must admit, I prefer the one. This is obviously that's the famous Alex Henshaw aeroplane. It's modified for extreme speed. If you look at the original Mew Gull, it's got a slightly taller canopy on it, and it's just I think it's a bit prettier for it. There's a beautiful replica that's finished in red, and I can't remember the guy who built it. But it's that does the round, and he uses it for touring. It's an amazing story, that. So
yeah,
good choices.
Yeah,
Johnny.
Yeah,
How do you top such beauty?
I've changed my choice.
Have you?
I've hidden the images, so don't you worry about finding them, Ian. I've got them. I've gone, and now this isn't the 7W. This is the 12W. But I've gone for Spartan. Yeah, the Spartan Aircraft Company, because they did produce some gorgeous looking airplanes back in the days, and my thinking was, what if they'd continued? What would we be seeing today?
No, that's the horrible Spartan though, with the nose wheel.
That is the wrong one, but just it just goes to show that they were thinking about the future, because who else was building tailwheel decent big tailwheel aircraft now? Could they have been the Learjet or somebody else of the day?
Oh dear!
You spoiled it now,
controversial.
Yeah. I was. It's like I nearly considered Spartan, and I was thinking of the tailwheel Spartan Executive, not the terrible, ugly nose wheel one. But yeah, no, it is interesting. It's interesting to think about what some of these companies might have made. So
yeah.
Yeah, just me, and a bit left field, because sometimes I like the left field choice, and partly because they're kind of slightly more modern. So I went for I was on the fence, and we came across this aeroplane. we did it as a flyer flight test, and I picked the Wing something made by the Wing Aircraft Company. It was founded by George Wing, and their sole product was this, and it was a lovely thing called the D1 Derringer. Probably the ultimate certified personal twin. It was just 2 seats, 260 horsepower Lycomings, cruised at 180 knots, 1,000 nautical miles of range. And George Wing obviously went, yeah, this is going to be perfect. Everyone will want this little 2-seat twin. And it was completely terrible business decision. And they only ever made 10, surprise, surprise. But I just think it's lovely. And what did you think of it, Ian? Because you obviously flew it. I took the photos. So
it's really nice. It's really nice to fly. It was one of those strange flight tests. I think we spent like 45 minutes trying to get one of the engines to start. I can't remember which one now. So you're spending 45 minutes going, this is not going to happen, is it? We've come all the way to this place in the middle of Florida to do this, and now we
suddenly sparked up, didn't it?
Suddenly, yeah, and then it started, and that was great. So actually flying it was really, really nice. It flew really nicely. It's got the most weird colours. I have no idea why it's got that paint scheme, but it does.
Yeah, colour scheme's not pretty, but the aeroplane was just, and it's when you look at the construction of it, it's got chemically milled skins and it's bonded construction. And when they could just stick a step on the outside, actually they said no, we'll make the step retractable, and it goes up and down with the gear and things like that. And the canopy's a work of art. Just a stunning little machine.
Yeah,
and I had been on the fence. I nearly picked Globe Aircraft and their Swift. And Ian, I just think that the Swift is lovely, and very nearly got reintroduced. Some of you may remember that Lepresti Piper came up with the Swift Fury, and there was a huge reaction to its debut, and 500 orders were placed, and it was just before Piper went bankrupt in 1991. So, and we flew that as well, didn't we? And you tried that, and that's probably another stunning little machine.
It was a stunning little machine. I think it's in a museum now, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, they did.
Not because I flew it, obviously.
Yeah. They donated the Swift Fury, but
I think they donated it because they didn't want it to crash and to get sued for anything that they'd done afterwards.
Yeah,
so the safe place for it is hanging from the ceiling somewhere.
Good time to finish. But So some interesting things there. What have we got in the comments? So Paul Fraser Benison reminds me that it's David Beale who built the lovely Mugel replica. Thank you, Paul. What else have we got?
I think we have a video of him talking to Mark Hales somewhere on our YouTube channel.
Yes, we have got one of those. Yeah. Julian Treadwell says Beagle. Andrew Kennedy said I'd bring back Aero Designs of Pulsar fame. Oh, good choice. Without a good home built one. We had so there was that. Someone said I agree with Ed. Original Mugel looks fantastic. And obviously Ian's choice. Keir Williams says Ian wins.
Thank you, Keir.
Ed's got my vote. Even though Ian cheated, I'd have to go with his choice. How did Ian cheat?
How did I cheat?
There we go. Julian Treadwell, most diplomatic. It's a 4-way draw. They are all good choices, apart from Ian's. Apart from Johnny's monstrosity nose wheel Spartan. Adrian Arnold says Ed wins. Mikey says Ed wins for a change. David says no rant this week.
No. Well, there's plenty to rant about, but frankly, we're kind of running out of time. Just talking about ugly nose wheel aeroplanes.
Yes.
Mr. Mandy, definitely. The Lockheed that we flew, Lockheed 12A.
Lockheed 12, yeah.
12A. Anyway, whatever it was.
Yeah. There was a horrible nose wheel version of that, wasn't
which is a gorgeous, gorgeous aeroplane. And then somewhere along the line, some idiot decided to make a nose wheel version, and it just looks like the most horrible. How do you take one of the best looking aircraft ever and make it look so freaking ugly? It was just grim.
I think we should. At the time, nose wheels were fashionable.
It's probably a bit like flares and high waistband trousers or something. But yeah, right. Let's have a quick rattle through because we're running into. It's nearly 10 minutes over tonight.
Yeah.
This weekend, what's going on this weekend?
This weekend, there's not very much on this weekend, but there is the Take Flight Open Day at Enstone, and the weather is actually looking pretty good, according to Simon. There's also the Historic Aircraft Association Symposium at the RAF Museum, Hendon. 26th of October, next week, there's the LAA Flight Day, which is the 75th anniversary. And if you can't make the midweek flight, they're doing it again at the weekend. Coming up, 31st of October, the Vintage Aero Club, All Hallows Flying at Turweston, which is always a very nice event. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And Johnny, do you want to tell people about the club?
I do. Yeah. So, new member benefit.
You could be a pirate.
Just a quick one. Jane Pearson, who some of you may know, she's offering a 15% discount on her plane portraits. We'll send a link out tomorrow to everybody, so you can basically just send her a few pictures of your airplane. She'll make a lovely painting. She was at the LAA rally.
Yeah,
lots of people probably saw her there. So that's another good benefit for members. And if you ain't a member, then you can join for just £7.50 per quarter for now.
Okay.
Great. Excellent. A couple of things to quickly look forward to next week. I don't know if any of you saw the interview we did with Grant Shapps at the LAA rally, where he said, I'll be inviting you in to come and talk about how we can deregulate general aviation. Well, it looks like that meeting is going to take place on Tuesday, so that's good. And the other thing, you remember the virtual voyage from the CEA, where we have prepared loads and loads of questions for them, and they had time to answer 1.5. Well, I do believe, after chasing them up, that all of the questions have been answered in writing, and I should be getting those any day now. So hopefully next week we'll have answers from the CA and a chance. I'll tell you how the meeting at the Department for Transport went as well. We'll see what happens there.
Fantastic.
I think
that's the end. There's a few people saying it's the LAA AGM on Sunday. That's true, and I'll see people there.
Yeah. And so, on that basis, unless anyone's got anything else, I apologise for us running over tonight. Thank you very much. I think you'd agree it was a fantastic interview.
Yeah,
very, very worthwhile. So that's great. And thank you for staying with us for this long. And we will see you next week.
Next week.
Yes.
Are you ready with that?
If you fly, and we'll see you next Thursday.
See you next Thursday.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.